Hey, how's it going? So, a small update. It's been a while with kid number 4, William, is taking up a lot of our time, mostly my wife's time, but I, of course, get the honey-do lists, and I love her. I love my kids. I'm happy to do it, but it does sort of cut into your fun time. So, the big changes at this point are I've gotten rid of my crappy Cat 5 wiring hack and using this 4-conductor 18 gauge cable off of Amazon. It's very inexpensive. And then these connectors, aviation connectors that I just love. So you might have seen these on audio equipment if you've worked with that stuff before, but they're pretty stable, a little involved to solder, but you know, I'm an electrical engineer, so I will not be beaten by soldering challenges. I want to build an enclosure for all this stuff, but I haven't gotten around to it, so I'm just using some angle iron as a, not angle iron, but aluminum angle as a panel right now. And I've replaced the MDF top that was sitting on top of some sawhorses, hello sawhorses, with a torsion box. And there's an excellent video online from the Wood Whisperer, Mark Spagnoli, I want to say his actual name is, but yeah, who knows? He's Mark. He's an awesome guy. Videos are fantastic. And if you want to know anything about woodworking, he probably has a video on it, and he's an engineer by training, so he actually explains things using, I won't say English, but one of the problems with being an engineer is that the longer you're in the field, the more difficult it becomes to communicate with actual humans. So, but he does a pretty good job of it. So I would look it up. The torsion box is this is made from a single sheet of 3/4 inch MDF that is cut into 4x3 for the top, 4x3 for the bottom, and the remainder is cut into 1.5 inch strips for the ribs. The internal structure of torsion box is very similar to, and works off the same principle as a airplane wing. So if you've ever seen a wing open up, you know, you've got a nice rib structure on the inside that really keeps it stable. It supports the aluminum skin and makes it possible to do things like put all of your fuel in a wing, which initially struck me as odd, but hey, if you lost a wing, you probably don't need the gas anymore. So it's actually a valid design choice. In other news, I'll be taking lots of road trips instead of flying in the future. So anyway, the idea behind the torsion box is that it is a nearly perfectly flat thing, and that is promoted by the rib structure, which keeps it from sagging just through transfer of opposing forces. The other thing that we've got now is this moving knot gantry support. So you can see this. I've got these steel cables, and they're not super tight, but they run from, let's see if I can follow this thing, from a pulley over there, from a turnbuckle in the middle, through the pulley, comes down this way to this bracket that I made that is just out of a couple of pieces of aluminum angle to a couple of pulleys. And these are actually, they're about $3 for the pair at Home Depot, and they are for supporting pocket doors. So yeah, they're pretty cheap. They come with some extra parts that you don't need, but they're pretty nice little pulleys. They're designed to support a couple 100 pounds, and they're more than adequate for this application. So cable comes from there, comes down here, wraps around this bottom pulley. We follow it over here, goes around the other side of the top pulley here, and back to this just chunk of spare aluminum that I had, where I've also wrapped it around the end of this 20 mil rod with a nice little clamp. And there's another one on the other side that goes exactly the opposite direction. It goes around the outside of this one and comes around the back of this, and then goes over to the top and to the other side of that turnbuckle. And what this really means is that when the gantry moves, if the gantry moves that way, since this cable is taut, it pushes the front, and this bottom pulley moves that way, which pushes this cable that way. And if we follow the cable over here, and we see, if we push it, then we see it also encourages this pulley, and thus the bracket it's attached to, or that side of the gantry, to move the same direction. If your cable is correctly tensioned, then you will get basically zero racking. As soon as this side of the gantry moves, the other side's going to go with it. And I haven't measured the deflection, but I can't see it whenever I jog the thing with the Xbox controller. And for my purposes, that is sufficient for the moment. The only other thing really going on is that I replaced the lead screw with the shorter one. I lost a lot of Z travel going to the torsion box because it's quite a bit taller than the other solution that I had. So replaced the lead screw, still got some silly screws hanging off the bottom there that needs to go away. But what I'm going to do is go ahead and replace, I need to replace these plates. I'm going to bring these two rods and the lead screw on the other side of the motor here closer together, move the whole thing up, and shorten the whole height of the Z-axis, because this thing has almost a foot of travel, and I'm not doing anything that needs to be nearly that large. So we're going to redo that, but rather than doing it by hand, I'm just going to use this machine to do it, because I can, and it's fun. So anyway, I have to go install a ceiling fan for my wife, and move some equipment and build a light fixture, and yeah, pretty much all that stuff. But she's awesome. Love you, Audrey. And I'm glad to do it. So anyway, thanks for watching. Have a great day. And if you have any comments, post them. I get emails every now and then. But yes, the shop is always this messy. It just is. Yeah, I'm busy like rebuilding cars and doing my actual job and stuff most of the time. But good times. Take care.